Hey, all you salty dogs, on this episode of the Renegade Show, we're going to dive in and we're going to start working on the shower sump and waterproofing the head. For anyone who's new to the channel, this is my 1966 Spencer 42 Sloop. I'm in the process of doing a major refit on her right now. Hoping to be back in the water sometime in the next couple of months so we can enjoy the summer sailing season, or what little of it there is going to be. You see where we're at in here? Been doing all the sanding, getting this room all cleaned up. We've got the shower sump cut in over here. Still have to make the boards to go in here. These two holes here need to be plugged. That's where we took out the old through holes there. And so we'll just be kind of coming in, finishing that up. I got a little more sanding in here to do. I still have to get the insulation down off the ceiling, get that sanded up. We're going to be replacing that with foam, and once I have that out of here and have the rest of this sanded up in here, I got a little bit more sanding to do on the floor, then we can go ahead and start fiberglassing. So I'm really excited to get that done, to get this thing fiberglassed up and really looking good. So that's going to be fantastic to have that taken care of. And then the other thing we have to worry about is the light up here, because the wires that go into it right now, I don't even know how old these wires are. It kind of looks like they were redone at some point, but I'm not sure. And these wires are just kind of held up here by nails. And I really don't like that, because you can see the surface of the nail is just bent over and it's kind of pushing into the surface of the wire. And that's a fire hazard. This is a big no-no. You don't put things up here like this. So what I'm thinking about doing is running a piece of tubing that comes from here over and then down. And then it will come down here. I'll put a cover over this corner of some kind, maybe some thickened epoxy, maybe a piece of wood. I'm not entirely sure about that yet, but it'll come over and down, and then it will penetrate through the wall over here where the cabinet is in there, because there's a cabinet, and I can't remember exactly how tall that cabinet is, but I think the top of it's about right here. So if I do that, then we can get inside that cabinet there, and then we can feed that power supply for the light from there. And then I have to figure out what we're going to do for a switch. I've been thinking about turning this old outlet into the switches, but the problem is with the door opening, that it would come out and smack that right there. So we may have to cut another one of those out here or something. So we're going to have to play around with that a little bit. But that's one of the things I need to get figured out before we glass in here, so I can see what I need to do for that. And then this, if it's going to get plugged, it's going to need to get plugged. If it's going to get moved, so that'll be on the agenda to get taken care of here. I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of dying today, because all I have been doing is sanding for days now. Sanding and sanding and sanding. This project has been, so much sanding on here. And man, it's like today, I mean, the last 2 days, 7, 8 hours, maybe 10 hours through the day, I've been just, working on this thing, and tired. And I don't know how productive I'm going to be today. I need to get a little bit more. I need to get this roof stripped down in here today. And then once we've got this cleared out, and then I've got the floor kind of prepped, I think I can get the wood cut for the shower sump and then start thinking about that switch. I think that'd be good for today. And then maybe tomorrow I can start getting some glass cut and get ready to start glassing this thing in here. I'm so close to being able to glass the inside of this head, so that's a really good thing there. I just looking around in here, thinking about everything I've got to do. In every project, you reach a point where you're just tired, and that's where I'm at right now. I've been working on this for so long straight and really stressing over it, and like, oh my God, we got to get her done. And on top of that, let's go take a look at what's been going on outside. Hey, Dexter. You go? Come on. Let's go bathroom. Silly dog. Yeah, he knows exactly what the drill is. It's great. I just cut out the pieces for the sump. This is the front, this is the side here. And now I need to make a back to fill in a little space down in behind there. So what I'm going to do is, I've got one of the old cabinet doors in there that'll actually work just fine for this. So I'm going to take this old cabinet door and cut a sliver out of this to fill that hole. All right, we got these pieces in here. I just got one more to cut along the back edge. I mean, this is hard to show how this is all going on in here, but I got some screws drilled in those pieces so I can guide them in. The fit came out on that nice and tight, so they're going to fit in there good. And so I go down and get this other piece cut for over here, and then we're going to go ahead and get all this epoxied in place. All right. I just want to let that cure in there. I got those all set up. And I want to give that some time to harden before I pull those screws out. And then we'll go ahead and put the rest of the fillets in there and do the rest of the thickened epoxy work. Alright, here we are in here working on the shower sump. And I got a little bit of I just put the excess I had left over in the corner here. This whole corner all the way up is going to have to be filleted like that. But that's just started. I started sanding on the bottom, kind of got that into good order. And we're just going to work our way on through here. Got a fillet put in each of these corners. Oh, that's looking pretty good. And then that wood there is starting to come up, so the next time I mix some epoxy, I'm just going to squirt some in behind it there and put a little piece to hold it in place, and we'll glass over the top of it. It's not structural, so it doesn't matter. All right, it's the next day. We got those 2 holes plugged up there. Got that hole down there plugged up, and got the fillet put in all the way up here. Take a little sanding to get that perfect, but it come out pretty good. Down there it's going to need a little bit more work, but yeah. Or you can see we got these 2 holes that I've plugged up. What we've done to plug these up, as you can see on this one here, I've got, that's the lid off of a Pringles can, or actually, excuse me, the bottom. It's the metal base off of a Pringles can, fit perfectly in that hole with a wood block to give it some rigidity, and then this block here is just holding it in place. So let's just go ahead, we're going to pop that off of there now. And hopefully, oh, there we go, with the plastic, it should, oh, well, no, it stuck to it, but that's all gonna get ground out now. So now we got that off of there. What the next step will be is to come in with the sander, and I will do that next week. I don't have time for it this week, but I'll come in with the sander, I'll bevel this out all the way down to this level, fair this, you know, bring this back down to the same level, this fairing compound here, which this is some of that Jamestown Distributors Total Boat Total Fair. I've been pretty happy with that stuff. And I'm going to do a video on it all by itself talking about my experience, so stay tuned for that. But this here, you can see we got it in there, and then get that faired in, get the patches from the outside put in over that. And the reason I'm not tapering all the way through the hole is this hole is like close to 3/4 of an inch thick. And so for when you're making a fiberglass patch like that, the rule of thumb is that for every inch of depth, you got to ferret out about 12 inches. It's a 1 to 12 ratio. And so at that 1/4 inch depth where I'm at right there, it would be a 4-inch fillet around that, what we need. Basically, we'd have to fair that in, taper that in 4 inches out from the edge of that there to get the right thickness, the right taper on that patch that you're making to ensure that it's strong enough. Now, if I was to go 3/4 of an inch, well, that means that I'd be running about 6.5 in from each side and have to taper that all the way in. Well, it's just really not necessary to do that, and you're actually disrupting a lot of the fibers that are behind there. This always had a hole there, it always had a through hole in it, and it was plenty strong as it is, so rather than cut away the hole on both sides, I'm just glassing flat over on the inside because that's all getting covered anyways. And then on the outside, you know, I filled the hole itself with that thickened epoxy filler material, and then I'll just put the fiberglass patch on from the outside, about 1/4 of an inch thick, which will be plenty thick and plenty strong, and I should never have an issue with that. And then also I'm able to retain the majority of the original structure of the boat there. Well, this is it. We got some fiberglass cut. We got everything sanded down, as you can see. I didn't sand that back corner yet. We're not glassing there, so got all this sanded up. Everything is fair as it needs to be all the way up to the top, so we're looking good there. Got a little bit more sand to do up in that corner, but that's just some fine hand sanding. I've got everything I need to start getting the sump in there, and so that's what that glass is right there, is the fiberglass for the sump. So let's go mix some epoxy and get this done. All right, the shower sump is glassed. Look at that. That is feeling good right there. Now I gotta let that cure, and once that is cured, then we'll go back in and we gotta glass the entire floor in here. And I think I may need to do some fairing over here. We're gonna take a look at that once I kind of get everything out of here and start getting a plan going, but we're feeling good about it right now. That went incredibly well. I did overlaps on that so that it'll actually tuck behind the glass that's coming down. There's gonna go glass here that'll wrap 4 inches up the wall. And so I matched that with that, so everything will have a nice overlap in here. All right, and here we are, the next day. This is all dry now. I'll turn a little light on in here so we can see. This is all dried up. I already did give it a light sanding. I'm getting ready to put some glass right over the top of it now. Got everything in here sanded up. Got those spots on the hole there sanded up. Got that sanded up over there. And then we cut a little filler piece to go in there. That'll get put in place with some thickened epoxy and get that bulkhead faired back out. I think everything in here is fixing to be looking pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. All right, we're just getting this mocked up out here, getting ready to cut the glass. And if you notice, I've got it written on there, aft fold. That's so I know what side of the cabin it's going to be, because in this back corner here, it has to have a cutout for the sump. And then again, on this side, we've got it set up as the forward fold. Got our piece all cut out here. Now what I got to do is in this corner here, I need to trim that out so it'll fit around the sump box. Now I know the dimensions of that sump box are about 8.5 by 14, so we'll set this thing at 8.5 by 14, mark it out, and then just make a couple of cuts on there so it has a lip to roll down into that compartment. All right, we just got the little patch put in there, some thickened epoxy. Now I'm going to have to fill up that whole corner and everything there, but what was important is just that we got this bottom corner here, so is that we had something to put the glass we're doing today on. It's not going to come any higher than the bottom of that through hole there. And we've got the glass for the floor down. So hopefully everything in here is good. I put plenty of epoxy down on the bottom, then put this peel ply over it. Didn't do it as hardcore up on the side there. I didn't really need to. A lot of that's going to be covered, and a lot of that glass is going to get ground down anyways as I go back in. But where it really matters on the floor that's going to be exposed here, we got that glassed up pretty good. As here you can see, we got all this trim down in here, and this came out really good. I still got to go back and sand that edge off, feather that back in. That little bit of leftover cloth will just get sanded right off of there, so that'll look real good when it's done. You can see those holes got plugged though. I put several layers of glass over those. You can kind of see the black circles there marking each layer of glass. I put 3 layers of glass, and then the final layer over the top of it. And then the reason there's kind of like some striping on this is I did put the peel ply over the top of it. And the peel ply, just because of the nature of the space in here, I could not get it in there very easily. And I didn't want to mess with it because it was hot yesterday, and from the working time I had, everything had already kind of started to set up, but it all came in here really good. It did a really good job on the floor where I could get easy access to it to work on it. But I was really worried that if I started working that back wall more, that I was going to move the glass around, and that has not happened. So that's a really good thing. So I think we're in really good shape here. It's going to take some sanding to get this cleaned up, but we do have a waterproof sump now, and we do have a waterproof floor. Now we just need to start on the walls and kind of get the rest of this done, and once we have that, we will be totally set in here. All right, and here we are. I got the glass all cut out for this side. Now just need to get some resin mixed up and pull that back down, get her all glassed up there. We'll be good to go. All right, so now working on this bulkhead, what I need to do is I need to plug the old receptacle. So what I did is I took the router, just knocked this out. I just put some tape around the outside for a guide. And then I cut a plug that fits loosely inside. And it's actually a little bit deeper than what this is too. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just maybe a 1/16 of an inch deeper. And the reason for that is I want to completely bury this thing in fairing compound, then fair it smooth with the bulkhead. And I got some of this Total Boat fairing compound mixed up here. We're going to go slap that in there. Well, here we go. We got the forward bulkhead glassed, got peel ply on there. The boat hook you see there, that's holding a little piece of wood in the corner that was popping up that I didn't catch. So hopefully that just holds itself down with the glass. It's not a big deal. That's inside the cabinet. There's going to be an extra piece of tape that goes over the top of that. If it pops back up, I'll deal with it when it does. But got this peel ply all rolled out on here. That's looking good. Really happy with it. A couple of wrinkles up in that corner, but we're not going to worry too much about it. That'll just be a little bit of light sanding to get rid of that. Overall, she laid out really good. Feeling really good about how the head's looking. We got this wall here, did the sand into it, got everything faired out on there, got some filler in where we needed it, sump boxes done. So right now, all we've got left to do is this bulkhead that's right here, and then over the top of the door, which that'll all get done at once, and then we're going to tape all the corners. Here, we'll tape the corner over there, we'll tape the corner back there, and then this one here is just going to get an epoxy fillet put over the top of it, and then everything will get faired in. And then what I'm going to have to do to make this room waterproof is my waterproofing. I'm going to sand down all this teak and come all the way out. I'll put a tape line on the door here, and then my waterproofing barrier, my epoxy coat that I put in there and everything, will get done up inside of that, and that'll give me a waterproof wrap all the way to the outside of the door, so it'll make this room nice and watertight. And then this lip right here, that'll get a neoprene gasket that goes on it, so that'll seal everything in here up. That should work pretty good. I'm pretty pleased with how this is all coming together. So, and the last thing I got to do is build a lip that goes down here on this face here. I need to repair this wood on the front of it first, so we'll repair that wood, probably using another piece of cabinet door from somewhere, and then I'll go in and make a nice lip that goes on there, probably about 2 inches high, so I'll have to cut the bottom of the door off to facilitate that, but that'll keep water in here when I'm showering, and direct everything right down into the shower sump there, and just pulled the peel ply off of here, and got all these ridges that popped up in it. I had everything smoothed out really nice, and then for some reason it all kind of buckled up on there, so I'm not knowing what's really going on, if I should have come back and rolled it after the fact. Not very pleased with that. That's going to take a significant amount of sanding. Probably 30 minutes to clear all that up, but that's still a significant amount of time. So I'll have to do some sanding on that to get her taken care of. But now all I got to do after this is tab up the corners there, get this corner here, and this bulkhead here needs to be done, and then we can move on from there. Alrighty, we got both of the corners in here taped up. Feeling really good about that. And we've got this whole bulkhead taped or glassed up. And that is, and then we did across the top of the door there too, but we got her all glassed in now. Now we just got to wait for her to dry. This time I was smart and I said, hey, let's set a heater in here so it doesn't slough and bubble like this side here did, so I don't have to sand everything like crazy. So yeah, we're set. We're going to get this dried out, and then the next step after that is we can go ahead and hang a bulkhead there for the cabinet, so that's going to be pretty amazing. We're moving right along. So guys, that's all we got for this one. I hope you enjoyed. Next week we'll be diving in and starting on putting all the cabinetry back together inside of the head, so definitely come back and check in for that one. If you haven't already, subscribe, click the bell, you know what to do. We'll see you later. Bye.